Our names are Rebecca and Josh Tickell. We're filmmakers, and our specialty is making films about the environment. In 2010, we made a movie called The Big Fix, about an oil spill that happened in Louisiana. While filming that movie, I was exposed to a toxic chemical dispersant. My health suffered considerably, and I had skin rashes and other problems. Doctors said that I may even have problems conceiving or bearing children. In spite of the warnings, we decided to try to have kids anyway. Even knowing the risks didn't make it any less devastating when I had a miscarriage.
My love, little person that gets you as dad is very lucky. Really?
Now she's looking at you. Oh, she lifted her hand. Oh my God. That's so...
When we got pregnant with our daughter, the doctor said there was a birth defect, and there was a chance she wouldn't make it.
I love you, Athena.
Miraculously, she was born healthy and happy.
Camera! Action!
But for 2 years, she had chronic sicknesses. And we were in and out of hospitals almost constantly. So we decided to look at all of our options. And nothing was off the table.
Call your doctor if your depression worsens or if you have unusual changes in behavior or thoughts of suicide.
Symptoms of a serious allergic reaction may include itching, rash, or difficulty breathing.
High blood sugar can lead to coma or death. Other risks
of chest pain, shortness of breath, diarrhea, severe stomach pain, or tenderness.
The dichotomy between alternative and traditional medicine is a false one.
So first off, what we have to talk about is what exactly is CBD?
There are some natural doctors out there who literally claim they know everything. So they're telling you about vaccinations, they're telling you about everything that you should do. I think you need to be very cautious as a consumer of healthcare. There are medical doctors out there who offer some of this hocus, I'll call it hocus pocus.
Virtual dolphin therapy.
It's the most relaxing experience you could ever have.
Snake massage therapy. Urine therapy.
And the only thing I can do is to drink my own pee.
Finally, a friend gave us a copy of the book called Earthing. The premise? By planting your bare feet on the ground, your body will begin to heal itself. Could such a simple thing help our daughter get better? It sounded too easy. We were skeptical. And as it turns out, we weren't the only ones.
Please welcome Gwyneth Paltrow. There are a couple of things, and I've written them down here. For instance, tell us about earthing. What is earthing?
Oh, okay. It's kind of, they say that we've lost touch with sort of being barefoot in the earth, and that there's some type of electromagnetic thing that we're missing. And
that is true.
It's good to take your shoes off and walk in the grass.
Okay.
I don't know what the we talk about.
So we decided to consult the experts.
In simple terms, grounding is literally putting your bare feet on the ground. When you do that, you're in contact with the earth, and Mother Earth is endowed with electrons. And these electrons are literally absorbed through your feet. It's like taking handfuls of antioxidants, but you're getting it through the feet.
Grounding means connecting to the earth to support the specific function of the organs of your body. It supports the body as a whole, but it specifically supports organ systems down to the tissues and the cellular function of the entire body.
Grounding provides a steady We call it a ground plane. It's like lying naked on the earth. But where I come from, in the winter, you can't do that. All the systems in the body, all of them that we've measured, and we've measured just about everything you can think of, everything goes to balance, to normal, when you're grounded.
The man who started the grounding, aka earthing movement, is Clinton Ober.
Well, Clint, I mean, first of all, we're super honored to have you here. You know, your book has been everywhere and everyone has been telling us about it. It's kind of a phenomenon, and it's also kind of hard to believe. I have to confess, when I first heard about earthing, I was super skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, is that a common reaction that you get from people?
Yes. And I was myself. It took me 20 years to dig this out of the dirt and get it to the world. And I questioned it all the way because it just didn't make sense.
And what is the main reaction you get from people when they get this information?
The response has been pretty much a lot of skepticism, because it sounds absurd. How can I just take my shoes off, put my feet on the ground, and reduce inflammation? Because the world has been about everything from oatmeal to blueberries to you name it. It's one of those things you can talk until you're blue in the face, but until you experience it, you're not going to believe it. But once you experience it, then the biggest trouble you have is trying to explain it to somebody else. So a lot of the naysayers, I mean, like most of the guys say, well, if this were true, I would have known about this. I would have heard about this. Somebody would have told us this. This can't be something brand new that we don't know about. And I just say, I'm sorry, it is something new. I mean, it's something we accidentally disconnected from the earth. For everybody to be able to wear shoes, inexpensive shoes, that was a real advancement. But on the other hand, nobody knew the consequence or the side effects of losing our ground, losing our electrical ground with the planet.
I grew up around Native American people, primarily the Cheyenne and the Crow. My dad died when I was quite young, but I remember even before he died, we didn't have a lot of money or a lot of material things. But in the Native American culture, it was very interesting that nobody owns anything. You can't own land. You can't own trees. How can you own this? And then there was an event where one of my friends, his sister, a little Indian girl, had, I believe it was scarlet fever. She'd been to the doctors and all that kind of stuff, and she wasn't getting well. And they brought her home, and there was nothing they could do for her, but everybody was real traumatized by it. I remember one of the elders, they dug a pit. And put a little bit of straw in it, whatever. And they put her in the ground, on the earth. Built a fire there and just sat with her for like days. And then next thing we knew, she was up running around. She was okay. It was just awesome. Just totally awesome. There were many things that kind of stuck in my memory as I got older. And one of them was, I remember coming home one day and we were going to go into one of the kids' teepees with his parents. And the mother said, take those shoes off, they'll make you sick. Why she would say they would make you sick, well, I wouldn't have had a clue at that time.
It turns out that today we Americans don't spend a whole lot of time grounding. That may have something to do with our love of shoes.
Tell me about your relationship with your feet and shoes.
I wear them.
My shoes? I love shoes. Oh my God.
It's more of an addiction.
Yeah.
Pretty much need them for everything. So you want to stub your toe everywhere.
It's like your shoes kind of represent you. I feel anyway.
Yeah, but you gotta get the shoes first, and then that matches the outfit that's gonna go with it. You can never just, it's not clothes first then shoes later. It's shoes first then clothes.
Yeah.
That's like my biggest thing. I stub my toe every day.
How many pairs do you think you have?
I think of Doc Martens alone, I have 10.
Oh God, no. Maybe 10, but only a few pairs that I like. I'd say 50 or 60 pairs of shoes.
Have you guys ever heard of grounding?
No.
No.
What is that?
Do I know much about grounding? Yeah, I have 2 kids. Yeah, I ground them all the time.
Grounding?
Oh, it's like spiritually, like becoming like more grounded and connected to the earth.
There are some people who think that walking barefoot could bring some health benefits. What do you think of that?
I agree but disagree. I don't know. That's a load of baloney. I don't know.
Like when you go barefoot and you like touch like the warm sand, or you go like to the ocean, it just like feels like better. Like your body like feels more calm or something.
I think the benefit, if we could, would give me personally more of like a connection to my life, to all the life around me. You know what I mean?
Now that you think of it, I mean, when I go barefoot, maybe at my house or something, it feels nice.
Maybe that's the stint that we have, is things that we don't even recognize like shoes in the first place.
Do you feel like more people could benefit from being grounded?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. It's healthy. It's healthy. It's natural.
I actually got yelled at a lot by my parents because I would try to go barefoot everywhere, even in the snow.
Barefoot's like, for me, I just don't feel comfortable, I guess you can say. But like, I don't know, it's just not really my trend. Like,
Oh, I went through a mall barefoot.
Oh,
had
she-
my shoes
yeah.
on. She loves to try to sleep with the shoes on. Like, shoes off the bed.
What helps you get grounded?
Good shoes.
But shoes haven't always been such a big part of our
The Nike generation, the Adidas generation, the tennis shoes generation. We started wearing sneakers. 95% of people walk insulated on the earth.
So it's the most common sense thing that we are organisms that live and grow and depend entirely on the earth while we're alive. And yet we have completely isolated ourselves from it. We're so disconnected that it becomes this weird thing if we actually slip our shoes off.
You've heard it before, celebrities are just like us. Or are they? Elle Fanning did something the other day that probably a lot of you may not do. The 18-year-old actress landed at LAX airport late one night. Looked pretty comfortable, but it was what she wasn't wearing that was getting people's attention. She walked barefoot throughout the airport.
This was the single thing that happened that probably caused the proliferation of inflammation-related health disorders far and above anything else. This is the most destructive invention that man ever made, the synthetic sole shoe.
This is so incredible. This is Nobel Prize material.
Basically, what we're trying to demonstrate, what we're going to demonstrate here is to show that when you stand barefoot on the earth and you touch the earth, that your body is conductive. And what this is basically a continuity meter. So what I'm going to do is plug it into the earth, like so. And I'm going to put my hand on it, and you can see, or my finger on the back of it, you can see that the light turns green, and that means that I'm grounded. To illustrate this, Sam here is wearing a pair of tennis shoes, and when he puts it on, turns it on, you can see that he's not grounded. But because I am grounded, I am barefoot on the earth, when I touch Sam, he is naturally grounded.
From Atlanta, Fulton. But one objective. December 7th, 19...
Like many great discoveries, Clint Ober stumbled onto grounding as a result of an unusual sequence of events.
I got involved in the cable industry in the early 60s. I first learned the need to ground cable signals as we were developing the industry. When you run a wire into the house, before you can go into the house, you have to ground the cable. Grounding is to maintain the entire system in a stable electrical environment. I mean, you have miles of wire hanging up there in the air. If there's lightning in the air, it's going to hit the cable. And so what you want to do is create a path to ground for the lightning so that it doesn't enter the house or blow up the TV or create a fire. So any electrical event is maintained at earth potential, automatically equalized with the earth and eliminated, neutralized.
Clint had a background in the cable TV industry, and he knew that cables that come to your home with TV programs have to be grounded. If they're not, two things can happen. You get snow on the screen, the picture is terrible, and the other is you get a knock on the door from the Federal Communications Commission because the signal is disturbing aircraft communication. It leaks into the environment.
Just as ungrounded signals wreak havoc on radio communications, there's growing concern that because we are not grounded, we absorb tremendous amounts of electromagnetic radiation from our modern devices. EMF stands for electromagnetic field.
We are all immersed in electromagnetic fields, from Wi-Fi, from the wiring in our homes, and it disturbs our electrical balance. We get charged. Inside of our bodies, we get electrically charged. Some people have as much as 20 volts on their bodies, and that's not good for you.
But in our natural state, the Earth has a built-in system to ground our bodies.
Unbeknownst to us, we live inside a battery. The surface of the Earth is charged negatively, and the ionosphere, which is a layer of the atmosphere about 60 miles up, which is ionized by the sun, meaning that the rays of the sun are so strong that they split the molecules into a positive charge and a negative charge.
The sun spews out electrons. They come to the Earth, they hit the ionosphere, they charge the ionosphere, and periodically the ionosphere releases lots of electrons. It's called lightning.
The negative charge are transferred to the surface of the Earth through lightning mainly, and the positive charge stay 60 miles up.
The surface of the Earth is electrically conductive, and wherever you are, standing barefoot on the Earth or connected to the Earth, you are collecting electrons that came from the sun.
The problem arises when we don't have negative charge. We need grounding just as we need air and we need sunshine.
So the TV industry, Clint, he had to make sure all the cables were very well grounded, and then he started to wonder if people need to be grounded.
And what I saw with cable TV was, it was bigger than Billings, Montana. The world was bigger than where I lived. I ended up in Denver, Colorado, working for Telecommunications Inc. One day, I was home with my children, and I had bought them computers. We could do checkbooks and play games. That was all we could do with them back then. It just dawned on me I said, that's a TV set without a signal. So I had this brainstorm, and I thought, well, let's go get all these wire services together and put them into a unified data stream, feed them over the satellite and down the cable system, feed them into a computer. The main thing that happened at that time that was probably very significant for the cable industry was we created the first cable modem. It changed the world in a day, in a moment. I was living in a 5,000 square foot A-frame log cabin on top of a mountain in Evergreen, Colorado. I was 49 years old playing King of the Mountain, and I won. I had everything you could imagine. Cars, home in Breckenridge, skiing. Most of all, I had a lot of art. I probably had, I hate to say it, but $250,000 worth of art hanging in my bathroom over the commode. I mean, because there was no place else to hang things. About 1994, 95, I was attending a lot of Christmas parties, and I got sick. One Sunday, I couldn't get out of bed, and I was turning yellow. I looked at my eyes were yellow, everything was yellow. And so they took me to an emergency room. They couldn't figure out what was wrong, but I was losing everything. My liver was shutting down. I was only 49 at the time. And they said, you need to think about getting your house in order because you're young enough to get a new liver, but you may not have time. I was on every IV, every type of antibiotic you can probably inject into a person. And they said that they had a surgeon that wanted to experiment and see if there was a way they could go in and cut out all the liver that had been damaged, which was the majority of it. I agreed to that because I really had no option. I remember I was in surgery, thought that was the last time I would see. And I woke up a few days later in ICU. And I remember my secretary was right here in my face. And my first thought was, I didn't know that you had died. The pain started coming on, then I realized that I was still here. It took about a year for my energy to recover. One morning I woke up and I looked out the window and I noticed that everything was more energetic. The sky was vibrant. Everything was vibrant. I thought I was left over for drugs. I didn't know. But I looked around the room that I was laying in, and I said to myself that this is all crazy. This house, everything is crazy because I almost died. All I had ever done was collect these things, and I spent my life taking care of them. I didn't own any of this stuff because when I die, I go away. They really owned me. They owned my soul. I went through this feeling that I just had to get rid of everything, push everything away from me. Anything that was material, even though I loved it and I spent my life collecting it and taking care of it, I had to push it away. So I called my children and I said, I want you to come and take whatever there is in this house that you want. One of them called the doc and said, there's something wrong with my dad. He needs to see a psychologist. And I remember seeing the psychologist and there's nothing wrong with me. This is what I have to do this. After disposing and giving and getting rid of everything, I decided I wanted to change my life, and I bought an RV and I went on a road trip. And I ended up in Sedona, Arizona. One day I was sitting at a computer and the computer kept crashing. I knew it was static electricity, so I put a piece of tape across my desk and grounded it. Then I realized in that process that the outlet wasn't grounded, so I fixed it so that I could get rid of the static electricity. And I didn't think too much about it. I walked outdoors and I sat on a bench. This tour bus pulled up, and it looked like they had just been to one of these outlet malls, and white Nike shoes were on sale. It just dawned on me. I asked the question, I said, I wonder if it's possible that humans are, we're no longer naturally grounded. I wonder if these shoes could be interfering with us. So that night I went to the hardware store and I bought a roll of metal duct tape. And I just taped it across the bed. I threw a wire out the window and it had a ground rod outside. I connected to the ground rod on one side and connected to the metal duct tape that I had laid on the bed. So when I laid down on the duct tape, I was like grounded because it was connected to the earth. I woke up the next morning and I thought, holy cow, there's something going on here, because normally for me to go to sleep, I had to take Advil. So I tried to find out what I could. The internet was hardly anything. This is back in '99. I went down to the University of Arizona and to one of their medical libraries, and there was nothing. And in fact, I even tried to find the cause of chronic pain. The cause of MS was unknown. The cause of arthritis, unknown. They didn't know. Nobody knew. So I thought, well, I'll go out to LA. I'll go to UCLA and ask them. They pretty much laughed me off campus. They said, you expect us to believe that somebody's going to put a nail in the ground, tie a wire around somebody's toe, and it's going to make them sleep better? They said, get out of here. Go away. You're nuts. So I ended up having to put together my own study. I found an anesthesiologist in San Diego. And he says, I don't think there's anything to what you're doing. There's got to be an anomaly here. But I'll entertain you. He says, I will prove that you're wrong. And we grounded 60 people, and the reports that came in were unbelievable. TMJ disappeared, PMS disappeared, inflammation reduced, pain. Everybody slept better. It's the first study that I did that was a legitimate study where we had quantifiable data. When they saw the study, everybody said, well, this is really pretty interesting. And we ended up attracting scientists, physicists.
Like any important discovery, nobody was interested. They thought he was crazy. Now there are a lot of scientists who are interested. Researchers, MDs, MD PhDs, PhDs like me. I'm very interested in biological questions. Earthing brings up some really profound biological questions.